52. My name is Karush Koilu. This is brought to you by Zayuk. Zayuk is a smart property system. We provide infrastructure for homeowner associations, which is likely where many of the people tuning in actually own property, as well as other property owners such as government or utilities. And we're about real world infrastructure, the management of that. And there's a lot of similarities across those domains. And much of that is revolves around cybersecurity and zero trust. And it's more about zero trust. And zero trust is just what it sounds. You have no trust in the stakeholders that you're with. And that is a wonderful thing when you don't have to trust someone who has a lot of leverage over your asset. It is not even about completely um, maliciousness, negligence too, and limitations of of people. So that's what we provide. Zero trust is an important mechanism to give people the ability to own property more effectively. And there's a lot of issues that come with that, but many people, there's a lot of good things and bad things, and important these understanding these corporations is so important to owning it within one and understanding the nuances and cons and pros. It's difficult. There's a lot going on in the world. I think it's really interesting this time. I personally love the hyper networking. I personally love TikTok and X, even Threads I'm getting more into now. Instagram is a little much for me. Um, but I really, really love it. And maybe it's too much sometimes, and maybe it gets me a little riled up, too riled up. But at the end of the day, I think we're blessed. It's tough. It's tough to notice that. It's tough to notice you're blessed when you see all this terrible things that happen. And it's important to try and not view that all the time. And it's really difficult because it's so enticing. As Scott Galloway says, rage sells. Rage does sell. We are in a time of enragement. Many people are rage filled, and rage doesn't help. Rage is a mindset that is blinding. It is overpowering. If you've ever been in rage, you know rage is an overpowering sentiment that is like a poison, because usually the person that gets destroyed by rage more than anyone else is the one who is enraged. Sure, they can leave a trail of devastation behind, and many times they do. Rage is a very powerful sentiment, but more often than not, rage is an overtaking feeling, and it's a very negative feeling. And years ago, I practiced metta meditation, and metta is this idea of loving kindness, and it was so powerful in times of enragement, because you're just like, it really does calm your mind. It really does make you less hateful, which is a wonderful thing. But staying away from that is important, and channeling it appropriately too. I mean, let's get real. You're going to get angry. People are going to make you angry, and channeling it appropriately is the most self-rewarding thing you can do. People are going to make you sad. It's the same thing with uh, sadness. I personally don't feel so much sadness. I'm lucky in that sense. I'm really blessed. And um but sadness too. I mean, I think sadness is more difficult to enable you forward. Sadness is a very real thing. So, but controlling your emotions is not easy. It's not human. It's not natural. Sometimes it's not healthy, but it can be self-rewarding. And if you put in enough time and practice into certain aspects of your life, I personally think awareness practice is critical, whatever that may be. Maybe you do yoga, maybe you go for a walk, maybe you do meditate, maybe you just, do whatever you can. Awareness is really critical, especially in this age of attention, the attention economy, where you have reels, 30-second to 3-minute long reels taking over your attention for large portions of the day. It is a I'm not sure. It's a really you need to practice it. I think we've gotten to that point. We need to practice attention. You can't just expect to go on TikTok and just boom, 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 or really any of them now. Now it's not just TikTok. You do X, you do threads, you do boom, 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 swipe up. The dating apps have swipe left and right, but all the rest have swipe up on that timeline. I remember when Facebook timeline came out and I was like, why do we have a timeline? And now it's like, oh, that's why you have a timeline. You have a timeline because now it's not even just a timeline. Now you have the for you and the um, yours, and people don't even, as Gary Vee has mentioned, social media is over. We're now in the age of interest media. That means that you don't even follow the people you know. Social media is no longer for community as much as it's for enabling you to to be involved in things that you become interested in. And have felt that and seen that. And I think there's a couple of things to that. One, you don't need to purchase things to impress people. And many people see vacations, big events, high expense purchases online. And I think there was a little bit of, what is this? I mean, there's studies out and there's numbers out that's saying that the amount of social media people consume has dropped significantly, probably not significantly, but has dropped since 2022. I personally can see it rebounding. Or Gary Vee speaks about in-person, analog, um what's the name of the Bumble CEO? I don't know her name. Whitney Wolf Herd spoke about AI as a mechanism to match people. That's tough. I think that's going to be a tough sell. And the reason I believe that could be a tough sell, because people don't listen. I mean, it's a good idea and it could be useful. And I hope it works. I really do, actually. But the reason am a little, people don't even listen to their family about who they should date, let alone and AI. And right now we're in a time where people despise AI. There are people who literally hate. I mean, I believe AI is one of the most hated things out there. If you're an artist, don't hate AI. If you're an artist, AI is your new paintbrush. You It's weird, but like that's the truth. If you're an engineer or a mathematician, you might want to, not like AI so much, because it is directly competing with your value set. So the designers, the architects, and I saw this short about architecture, how architecture has lost its, artistry. It's all about risk management and digital tools and understanding how to use those digital tools. That is going to go completely out the window with AI. You just have to ask questions, a lot of questions for your own betterment. And You don't have to know specifics about tools and stuff. You don't have to understand AutoCAD to design a building anymore. Seriously, a lot of that risk management, maybe not right now, but a lot of that risk management stuff, those number crunching, even learning a new software, you can just ask AI and say, "Hey, I remember I was trying to do 3D modeling using this software before AI, dude, it was so impossible to do anything. You couldn't unless you were a skilled person in that tool. Now you just ask AI, boom, 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 boom. What do you do? What do you do here? Boom, boom, boom. Yeah. And for me, I'm an engineer. So I think for engineers, one thing that you do have is risk management framework. You have risk management mentality where it's like, this thing can go terribly wrong. How do we do that? And a lot of times people talk about over engineering in that case. But there's a lot of risk involved. So it's important. And but I think people who are more artists, people who are architects, people who are designers will be enabled. Whereas if you're an engineer or numbers guy, I mean, a lot of that can be done. It's with the AI. It's a little interesting. And so speaking more, reading comprehension, analytical capability, and not just like a math sense, like even a linguistic sense of analytical capability is important because how you speak has become so important. I mean, people called it prompt engineering. I think that's a very um, weird, of course, it's prompt engineering. It's speaking clearly, it's conversing clearly, it's leaving assumption out, it's pulling context in, it's communicating more effectively. And I think that is a tool that people can get. That is a consequence of using this tool is you actually become a better speaker. I saw someone speak about people losing their, kind of letting their brain turn off for some of this stuff. And I understand that too. There are some parts of me that I just let it turn off. But at the end of the day, it makes mistakes in those places, at least as far as I'm concerned. So I always try and enable um yeah, I still don't feel comfortable letting it loose. I know people like kind of let their AI do whatever. I do not do that. I do not let it loose. I am very conscious of what it outputs, and when I do let it loose, kind of can it can backfire. It can really backfire. It's important. It's important. It's critical. I think people hate AI. I understand that. I hope for a time what I've been talking about is modular computation. Modular computation is not having massive data centers. It's about having small data centers, micro data centers. And we think about the microgrid and we think about the fact that a lot of these data centers aren't even environmentally friendly, economically possible. The communities hate them because they pollute their community so much. I think we're going to get into a point where people and corporations and small corporations it's going to be like Bitcoin, where they buy their own computation and they sell instead of, putting it out to Bitcoin and then you get mining, you're actually going to just sell your computation to the big corporations because the big corporations, for the models that they want to do, I mean, they need bigger data centers, and I don't think it's going to happen in the way that they believe so, which is a monolithic data center. I think you're going to get modularized data centers. I think you're going to get people throughout the grid that are able to take advantage of energy at certain times, and then some sort of modular computation for this AI is going to enable those hyperscalers to do what they want to do. But you look at over half, I believe over half of data centers that were planned for this year have been delayed or canceled. It's economic viability right there. These aren't the scale you need. Monolithic doesn't seem to be working well enough. It seems that we need to go modular. It's interesting. It's interesting. And it's really interesting because of how much it integrates with kind of the sentiments of today. Because I'm not really going to speak about that, but it's such a hot topic issue, AI. And for good reason. For good reason. Because, and people don't want to hear about um, it's going to enable you to be richer and whatnot. It's because what I've been saying is that big corporations are going to get smaller, and most corporations don't have the need to have massive enterprises anymore. Maybe that's wrong, and especially that's wrong for people that work with their hands. But if you're more of a white collar worker, I mean, you saw Kevin Griffin say he actually got a little depressed going home one day because he realized that these things were on the level of PhD finance people. Those are people who spent 10, 15 years in higher schooling to do what they do. And it does what they do very well, faster, better, incredible. And this is why I'm saying the artistry is going to it's tough, man. I think doomerism is not going to help you as an individual, which is the one thing. And because you can give up, and a lot of people do, a lot of young people today are very aware politically, socioeconomically, very aware in a way that, I saw something like 17-year-olds are thinking about their retirement account. It's like, you're too young. You know what I mean? Like, not, I get it, but like, you have 40 years. A lot can happen, and a lot does happen in 40 years. People like, a lot does happen. So it's interesting. And going back to what were we talking about? Yeah. So it's an interesting time talking about AI enabling retirement. And I know a lot of people, and it's especially tough. And I this goes back to what I said. It's especially tough for people who were in big corporations. Big corporation. If you're looking for a job today, you need to go for a small corporation. You need to go for a small corporation, and you need to be. This kind of sucks. I'm going to say, I know people are going to hate this, but if you can bring AI to that corporation, you're going to do work, and it's going to be a lot simpler than you think. I think so. That's my personal opinion. Now, it goes back to asking questions, and some people aren't as capable as others, so it's tough to say it's not going to be easier than you think. Maybe it's going to be harder than you think. Maybe it's going to be harder than you think. But this world isn't forgiving. You should be forgiving, but the world isn't that forgiving. The world isn't that kind. You should be kind. You should try to be kind. I'm not always kind. I try and be kind. It's tough. It's tough to be kind. One thing believe, and I've been told this, is being a jack of all trades In AI, that's certainly the case, but just in general, and this goes back to small business mentality versus big business mentality. And the reason people want that is because anything that is like a solo thing that you do can probably be done by AI, which sucks. And I've always been like a jack of all trades. I've always liked to do a lot of things, not really get too siloed into anything. And that I think enables Zayuk incredibly in a way that most companies don't get enabled. A lot of companies, especially tech companies, don't go really, 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 really far, really deep thinking. And not just like technically deep, but that too, but like philosophically deep as well. If you want to create great product, you need a philosophy. And if you don't have one, you're going to be stuck riding the wave that other people created. And maybe that's fine. It probably is fine. A lot of people do that and it works out well for them. But if you want to be creating waves, splashing waves that other people ride, you need some sort of philosophy. You need to be able to say, um, this, wow, it's true. I think that not sure what I said, but wow. Luke from the Outdoor Boys, Luke Nichols, speaker at his law school commencement. That's incredible. This just goes to show you the importance of social media. It's so in and it goes back to what I was saying earlier today is social media is so invasive in our lives already. And like Gen Z, I think a lot, you know, Gen Z is like weird, but I think very highly of them. And I think that, you know, of course, there's some issues. I've seen articles about workplace issues, and I felt that. But when I worked with them, they were still responsive, people. And it was interesting for me because that was the first time I'd ever worked with people 4, 5, 6, 7 years younger than me. Most people for up until my age and that up until that time in my career I'd worked with were 20, 30, 20 or 30, 15 to 30 years older than me, almost everyone. So even older, maybe older, 15, 30, 40 years older than me. So it was really interesting to work with people younger than me. And I liked it. I thought, there were issues, sure. And they're saying that Gen Z is not workplace prepared at the moment. Many members of that are coming out of college right now aren't workplace prepared. That's tough when you're not taught to be workplace prepared by someone. being workplace prepared is showing up every day, which is the one thing that school does teaches you to show up every day. Surprising, some people don't do that. Show up every day, try, be involved. That's pretty much it. That's really all it is. Show up every day, try, be involved, and jobs are much tougher. Um, Jobs are much tougher than school. School, you're paying to be there, so they want you there. Jobs, they're paying you. So it's way different. It's a way different dynamic. And that's the important thing I think a lot of people don't understand right now. It's that corporations don't exist because they exist. And people look at the top corporations and think, that's it. They look at the big boys and they're like, these guys are controlling everything and destroying everything. And then but the reality is most people not employed within the top 7 corporations in the world, top 10, top 20 corporations in the world. Most are employed with people who are small to mid-level businesses, and those small to mid-level businesses pay you, and it's not their obligation to pay you unless you're doing work for them. And so once you do shoddy work, they lose money and they can't afford to keep paying you. And that job is not your right. It's a privilege. That job is a privilege. And that's the thing I think people lose sight of, is that work is a privilege. It's not a right. When it becomes a right, that's slavery. I mean, I don't know what to say. It's not a right. Work is not a right at all. It's a privilege. Maybe that was a wrong term, but it's on that sense where, it is what it is. Wow. What a crazy time. Apparently, China's stock market is not doing too well today. Oh no, it's doing well. Tough. You can't really trust any social media at this point. You always have to go back. Wow. Being online is, I said it earlier, social media, and there are people who are digitally native. Discord, Reddit, Threads, X, Blue Sky, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, um, Telegram, Pinterest, chronically online, video games. I love it. I love it, man. I personally, I know it can stress me out, and again, I just was exposed to I think maybe not false information, but information that I can't find corroborated anywhere else, which means possibly false information. But one, you have to corroborate it, understand the difference in sourcing. Two, keeping up with the times. Um, Hyper networking is fun. It's really fun. I personally think it's fun. This is a form of hyper networking. Live stream is hyper networking. This is real time community. Independent of how many followers I have, it's great. It's great. It's the new normal. I think it personally is a supplement to the real world. A lot of people just like to live offline chronically. And I think it's wrong. I think you're exposed to so much information, and the ignorance to that information is only bliss in the moment. But once you once you move on, once you realize how ignorant you were, that bliss completely fades. It fades into usually devastation. Usually it's like, wow, I can't believe this happened. I mean, that's usually what happens. So there's nothing fun about it. There's nothing good about feeling that way. There's nothing good about ignorance. If you can be non-ignorant, you're gonna do much better in life. You're gonna make better decisions that will reward you. I don't understand that ignorance is bliss at all. I mean, I get it. You don't want information overload, but some things are just Oh, wow. Turkey just sold nearly all their US treasuries, and related back to what I said about China. And that was apparently to defend the Turkish lira, which crashed today relative to the US dollar. Man, oh man. So I'm still looking. Yeah, you can't really find anything on it. What is what it is. Oh my God.